Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And we have a great show for you guys today doing NFC West. Yeah, I should know that. I'm wearing the jersey. I'm wearing...
Not a football, but I get to represent LA right
Hell
here.
Yeah,
so.
looking good. NFC West, I think coming in last year, probably the best division in football last year. This year, not so much really.
Crazy to think of the shakeup that it is now.
Still good. I mean, still a good division.
I would say good, but there's been some upheaval.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking at the camera. I can only focus on myself because I'm conceited, and I'm wearing a black jersey with a black background and black hair, and I just see like my face, nothing else.
Yeah, you could be like me and just glow all the fucking time.
Either one.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm so pale, I'm see-through.
Just a blank sheet of paper.
That's a good one.
You got any ideas?
That's a good
It
one.
looked like you had a...
That one's not
I still love that one.
I've been called highlighter before.
Highlighter's a good one. All right. Let's get into it. What team you want to start with? We're gonna do fantasy breakdown. Just if you haven't been watching.
I want to go worst to. We'll talk about first because like I said, it is a good division, but we definitely know where the worst sits, and that's with the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, Seattle Seahawks.
My God. Yeah, I think Seattle is going to have a top 5 pick. They're ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really bad.
Where do you start with that?
I would say the quarterback battle. If you think it's going to be Geno, if you think it's going to be Drew Lock, there is a battle.
Yeah. It's just like I feel like all the battles this year are so underwhelming.
They are.
Like
there's no major job that's up for grabs.
Yeah.
I would like to see Drew Lock just based off of some of the flashes that I've seen at times.
For sure.
Geno's done good. He's gotten to come in, a few times, and
I feel like I know who it's gonna be, and I know who I want it to be, and they're two different players. Like I think it's gonna be Geno ultimately.
Because he's been in the system.
Yeah,
I think Pete trusts him.
And what is like ultimately what Pete wants to be is a run first, good defense type of guy, and like Geno, I think plays in the system a little bit better. And if you're just going off of who's not gonna fuck it up, well, Geno's not gonna fuck it up before Drew Lock. That Drew Lock got kicked out of Denver because he was throwing too many picks.
Drew Lock will do. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll push the ball too much.
Absolutely. So that's kind of like the way I look at it. Is it's going to be Geno. I still have this like small hope for Drew Lock, which I know like if it wasn't going to work in Denver, it probably isn't going to work because he had a good offense. Really, realistically, I mean, 3 good pieces. I mean, yeah, he had Noah Fant. He had he had Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. Fairly good running game. Like if it wasn't going to work there, it just wasn't going to work.
We can't talk about the Broncos and their promise. They went from Super Bowl contender solely because they swapped out the quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there we go.
So it's that little bit of like I just got to take the L on that one. Like that's like honestly in a long time, like the first quarterback that I was very high on in the draft that just absolutely busted. And,
mild flex.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Mild flex on yourself.
But yeah, a little bit.
I like that.
I mean, I've definitely missed here and there, but like the misses I've had, I can at least look at and be like, nobody could have predicted that, or also just terrible system, never truly got a chance. Like guys that I can think of, like a Jordan Love. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say I missed on Jordan Love because
we haven't.
Yeah, exactly.
The shot hasn't been fired yet.
Exactly. So like I can't say but Drew Lock obviously has had the chance and failed. We'll see what happens here. I loved what Pete Carroll said in the offseason before the draft, saying Drew Lock is better than any of the rookie quarterbacks, so he feels good about that.
He was at least confident enough in him to say, which
absolutely
that's not far off base.
No, really honestly. Coming out, I would have liked Drew Lock over Pickett. And Pickett was my number 1 coming out. So I mean, that would have been. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
We can. I was going to say the other position battle here. Would be a Rashad Penny, Kenneth Walker, perhaps.
I love me some Kenneth Walker.
I know, and that's why there's a lot of fantasy owners that watch our show too. What do you think the outlook is? I mean, I know dynasty wise that. I would say astronomical value for Kenneth Walker. Yeah. In a standard redraft league, is it there? Is it Rashad? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm going Kenneth Walker all day. So let me get your opinion while I pull up the ADP just to see the difference because I am kind of curious about that. But I've
done a little bit. I can't say it right off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure Kenneth Walker goes in the late 4th, early 5th. Rashad Penny should be right around that too in the 6th. But I do think Kenneth is the preferred back out of that system. It's tough to say, though, that you want a piece of this backfield because I do think that this is a team that, on a good year, gets 6 wins. It's going to be tough. Yeah. I mean, they're going to get beat down by this division as is. They're going to struggle offensively and defensively. I don't think they have that much to write home about either.
So
I'm not sure.
Kenneth Walker, according to Fantasy Football Calculator, is at the top of the 8th round.
Okay.
And then Penny is the 6th round.
Penny's Penny's got that.
I have him neck and neck right now. I really do. I have it being a 50-50 backfield, like both getting around 800, 900 yards. I do think this is going to be a run-first football team, ultimately. I think that's... So, like, I think the opportunity is there if there's a true workhorse guy. I mean, Kenneth Walker in the 9th, I mean, that's a slam dunk. In my opinion...
I don't think he'll be there by any means in
a regular redraft. You don't think he's there?
No.
In a regular, because I mean, I think we have a tendency to look at it through like our keeper league because we're not really in a lot of true redrafts.
And that's our lens that we keep that from.
I think 8th, 9th in that range. I mean, I definitely like him anywhere in that range.
Of course, I like him in that range. I'm just thinking if you look at Devin Singletary in the 7th round, I don't know why Devin Singletary would be trending up like that then.
Yeah. Okay. So let's play that game with these guys, and I want you to ask because I think I'm bullish on it, more bullish on Kenneth Walker than you are. Because I'll straight up say I will take Kenneth Walker over Rashad Penny. Like in the same spot, I would rather have Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker
just because Rashad Penny has been more injured. Tony Pollard, I would take.
Kareem Hunt, I would take Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Devin Singletary, of course, I would take Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker over Devin Singletary. Okay, let's keep going. Chase Edmonds.
No, Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I'm taking the up because Chase Edmonds is going to split with 4 other guys.
Melvin Gordon, not close in my head.
Oh, absolutely not close.
Now, there's a strong crew out there that thinks that Melvin Gordon's going to get some meaningful time there. Who knows? Close. I think Kenneth Walker, yeah.
James Robinson, Jacksonville. I would probably go James Robinson.
I could go James Robinson. I'm worried about that, though, just because Travis Etienne is skyrocketing in eyes. Yeah, so, it's hard to see. But this is his rookie year, too, so he's not just going to catch the reins right away.
Yeah.
It just depends on how bad Seattle's getting beat down, how much they're willing to run the ball, which we both do feel like it is a lot. Mm-hmm. And I feel strongly in saying this, when you're a bad football team and you do like to commit to the run, you're a big advocate of keeping fresh legs out on the field.
Absolutely.
So the 50-50 split or 45-40 and then whoever is their third trying to tag in, Alex Collins perhaps, I can't remember who it is anymore. DJ Dallas, actually.
Yeah, DJ. He's better.
They're going to be coming in there
for sure.
Taking some. That's the way that I think it's going to go. Is just running back by committee. I don't know if it's Seattle that really writes home for me fantasy wise. If I want to play it.
Yeah, I definitely get that aspect of it. I do think there's still, this was a team that I think everyone thought had a chance to go to the playoffs last year. Obviously, it was disappointing and obviously lost their quarterback.
Yeah.
There's still a carcass of a good team here. Like, Tyler Lockett didn't, just fall off a cliff. Obviously, his value goes way down.
And you have DK.
DK's value goes way down. No, not arguing from a fantasy side, but from a talent side, yeah, like, they're still good. Noah Fant's a great tight end. Their defense, not great, but got better. I'm going to look at their draft real quick just to see, what marquee guys they brought in.
They lost Bobby, and that's a big one. I know he's been aging. He is still top linebacker in the game, though. Very, very good player. A lot of good downs left to play. So it's hard. It would be hard to be a Seattle fan and watch the transition.
It's a rebuild later.
Yeah, it is. And you're transitioning out of the Legion of Boom. Pete Carroll, you get to see this rebuild come in. And I wonder how long it's going to take.
It does seem like you're a little bit lower on him than I am. Because I look at this team as like, okay, got Charles Cross in the first, improving an offensive line that wasn't great. Defense wasn't great last year. I don't expect it to magically be better. But, I think 6-7 wins is very attainable for a rebuild year. That's pretty good. Are you in that same range?
Is the ceiling.
You think 6 is the ceiling? Okay, so I think 6-7 is kind of like where I have been penciled in.
I think 3-6.
Wow, you think there's a chance they only win 3 games?
Yeah, I think they're going to be atrocious.
Really? Okay. Let's just...
I put it as they have a bottom 25 defense and a bottom 28 offense.
Okay. Wow. No, I'm not going to sit here and completely argue with that. I do think, coaching gets a bump. Like, they're still a well-coached football team from a
I get what you're saying.
I don't know.
I see them in a very difficult division. And if we were to rank the fourth teams in divisions, I'm not sure who you could put ahead of Seattle.
Their line's 5.5, so you would go under?
Yes.
Saying the 6 is ceiling.
I would go under.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. And I probably it would be tough for me to touch that line.
Looking at their schedule, if they catch, and I know they don't because they did last year, but if they caught the AFC South perhaps, and it was Jags Texans, and there's 2 wins that they could pull there, or if it's the NFC South, there's a realm where that, because the NFC South is very, and I think it is. I think I just saw it.
Yeah.
It is the NFC South.
They got the
so
very
you get to take the Panthers, the Falcons, and
we don't know what the Saints are.
And home field usually does play well for the 12th man. I'll give it to you guys. It's a phenomenal atmosphere.
Yeah.
So
they do have the West on the other side though. They got Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, and
handily getting swept.
Probably losing all 4 of those realistically.
Very well.
All right, hey, we spent a lot of time on the Seahawks. I didn't mean to. It just kind of is interesting. Last couple things before we go. Noah Fant have any fantasy value to you?
No. If I'm punting tight end, there's a world there just where I'm doing the thing where I'm hoping for a red zone target and a touchdown here or there. A guy that I still do believe in is DK Metcalf.
Okay.
I can't help but think, even in spite of how much shit I've talked about this team and how little I think they're going to perform, I do think that he is worth getting as a wide receiver 2 if you had to. Yeah. I would love it if there's a world where I could flex him out. That means that you're taking the zero running back approach, but it's the new meta, I would say, is to go wide receiver heavy. If Geno, Drew, whoever throws for 2,500, 2,800 yards, that's very low, by the way, in an 18-game season. I still think that DK at the lowest commands 800 yards with some touchdowns.
Metcalf going top of the 4th round according to Fantasy Football Calculator, right in that range. I feel like. Terry McLaurin and DK, if those are both on the board, I'm thinking about it. I'm probably actually going down the list a little bit and going another way, but in that same range as George Kittle, Antonio Gibson,
it's do you
Patrick
want a number
Mahomes,
1 on a bad offense, or would you like the number 2 on a good offense?
Yeah, realistically. Let's move on. Where do you want to go next year?
I picked Seattle, and I said I wanted to work our way up. So Cardinals or 49ers, who comes in third in this division?
Cardinals, right? I think Cardinals.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely think Cardinals.
There's room to argue it there. Because the 49ers, we'll get to that with Trey Lance. It hinges on that.
This is a good offseason to be a Kyler hater, which was kind of surprising because he did get paid, but good offseason to be a Kyler hater.
Crazy.
To strut it out.
I've kind of redacted a lot of, it's always been there.
I'll speak for you. All right. So you've been a guy who I don't think you ever hated the talent on the field. I know you didn't.
Made me shut up.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you hated the fact that he went. He committed to be a baseball player and then came back on it. You didn't really love the personality and again, I'm speaking for you. So tell me when I'm wrong. But it seemed in general you just didn't like the guy as a whole lot.
He seemed arrogant. He seemed cocky.
Man, did that just that killed it. You got the stat that came out. Obviously, the big thing is the contract where he had to have 4 hours a week of film study, dedicated film study without any of the other distractions. And he does the interview, kind of saying it's crazy that you guys think that I don't work. I'm so great. I won in high school. Blah blah blah. Which I'm paraphrasing.
It was his voice during the whole thing.
But
he's just sounded like a bitch.
The whole. The fact that he got paid, and he did. He absolutely got paid, and then he's still kind of coming out as the bad guy in the media is kind of interesting to me. I don't know shit about how much work a NFL quarterback goes through. It seemed weird that you needed 4 hours. You need to put that in a contract, but I didn't really know. It was just cool to see all of the ex quarterbacks that are in the media, and really just anybody in the media that's been a part of an organization coming out and saying that's not a thing. That's never been a thing. Yeah. Why is this a thing for you? That is a real thing. That has to be an issue there for the Cardinals, or at least for somebody drawing up that contract. It was an issue.
And then they started doing some advanced metrics as jokes out there, but there's actually some substance to it. So, for example, I'm going to get close to the number that I remember hearing, but it was that Kyler averages about 21 to 22 fantasy points per game before Call of Duty comes out, which it's typically in mid-October range. After Call of Duty drops, his fantasy points go down 5 to 6 points per game to around 17 range. It is nuts. He's an avid gamer. He's a streamer. He likes to do that, but there's nothing. I'll go to bat for Kyler here and saying that it's okay. There's people saying that he should never touch a video game. He should be head in the books football 24/7. And I see what you guys are saying. If he is a $40 million a year quarterback, you should have your head in the books. You should be doing X, Y, Z. But I also agree with having hobbies outside of a sport and trying to better yourself. It just depends, though, because the haters are coming at him because weeks 1 through 10, Kyler is MVP phenomenal.
It's great.
Weeks 10 through that week 1 of playoffs, It's garbage. It really is, and there's a reason as to why you wouldn't want to pay him.
And I think there's a lot of elements to that, not just the theory out there that he doesn't put in the work, but I definitely think there's something to be said about a guy who, like, when things get the toughest, he kind of he folds or he doesn't rise to that occasion. And I'm not saying that narrative should be out there yet, but like if we start seeing this over the next couple seasons, that narrative becomes more legitimate in my mind. Just like in the same boat of we have the same questions about Lamar at this point, where it's like, okay, when lights get the brightest in the playoffs, we're not seeing the best Lamar, and there, I really think that's a little bit overblown. But the thing with Kyler got absolutely whipped in the playoffs last year. Looked like nothing. It didn't look like any version of himself, really, in my opinion. And you got to wonder. It does. It just brings out questions that shouldn't be there, I guess. So that's interesting. I guess we put enough time into that.
Yeah.
Looking at the fantasy side of what we expect from this team. This is a team that lost a lot of pieces. I don't think they really got better, in my opinion. I don't this offseason. What are your thoughts here?
So this team hosts my fantasy bust of the year in James Conner.
Okay.
I'm going to say it. I think with his ADP, it is going way, way, way too rich for me. I feel like last year he was very touchdown dependent.
3.8.
3.8. That's way too rich for me.
Yeah.
Looking at his touchdowns that he was able to get last year, those numbers are going to regress. I'm sorry. There's just no way that you can base drafting him in the mid-third round, or in that case to be your solid RB2 and in some cases RB1, because if you go wide receiver early, that's where you're at. He is not going to have the same production. I'm sorry. You have to look as if those numbers will regress. And if you're comfortable with 700 yards, I'm sorry, you're not getting 12, 13, 14 touchdowns like you did last year. I really don't. I think it'll be 8 tops.
Yeah.
He's being drafted as if he will. Fantasy bust of the year. Wide receiver-wise, I'm actually kind of attracted to Hollywood early on.
All right.
Deandre Hopkins is out. As much as I
6 weeks,
have this sour taste for Kyler in my mouth, they had a connection at Oklahoma, and I can't help but think that Kyler's going to be able to force feed that and make sure that it happens, solely because he was a big advocate in bringing on Hollywood.
Big fan of. I prefer Rondell Moore. Accounting for draft value, I prefer Rondell Moore over Marquise Brown, just because I think Hollywood's going to cost a lot more than
Crazy stat
Rondell.
about Rondell that scared me was 102% of his yards came after the catch. And it's 102% because he had a negative one in there. He didn't get one. Everything was behind the line of scrimmage. Everything.
Really?
Yes. That's terrifying to me.
Well, yeah, that is terrifying.
That was put out by PFF, and it was horrifying for me to see that one.
That's nuts.
Because it was that's his yards after the catch. There were times where he would get yards on a catch, but his yards after the catch, it was solely behind the line of scrimmage.
Okay. So all of his yards after catch came. Okay.
Yes, it's the way they utilize him. Yeah, no.
I'm sitting here thinking like he never got a slant. What do you mean?
No, yeah, he got a slant. He scored week 1 against the Titans.
Okay,
but it's where
I got
catch
you.
versus tackle or where he's at.
Understood.
It's scary because I love the way that they use him at times, but he seems more just like this bubble jet screen, and I want a little more than that. I love Rondell coming out.
I'd be interested to see what they do after, kind of taking a year to study what they did with, and I don't think the talent's the same, but what the 49ers did with, I'm just blanked on his name,
Debo?
I'm talking about Debo, yeah.
Okay.
I know Debo's a lot better than Rondell, obviously. At least at this point, we think that Rondell is small. I mean, Debo's built like a big running back. Honestly, that's how he's built. He's just a great wide receiver too.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be interesting. Like, does he get those touches behind the line? Does he get more? Do they utilize him that way? Because he can be kind of that jack of all trades type of guy. I see that in him.
I have one for you.
Okay.
I wanted to pick your brain about DeAndre Hopkins because I went on about James Conner and Hollywood. Where would you value D Hops? If there were no 6-game suspension, and knowing where we're at now, is he worth going in the 5th round with the 6 games out?
That's tough. So it is 5th round. Just double checking there in the fantasy football calculator. I don't know. I couldn't draft him in the 5th round. I'll put it that way. Just looking at guys, like I would rather have Mike Williams. I'd rather have Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks. Those are all the wide receivers that I'm looking at right now. They're in that range.
And get the 6 games.
Yeah, and I would take all those guys over D-Hops right now with that 6-game suspension included.
Yeah, there's no way he outscores those guys.
Yeah.
Spotting them 6 games.
Yeah.
Not to mention, D-Hop's, I had him last year, and I mean, he's good to miss a game or two just because of an ankle or a hammy or a workload.
And not only that, I mean, he hasn't been the same guy he was in Texas. I mean, he like statistically anyway, he hasn't. I don't know, talent on the field is still there.
Brandon
but
Cooks has outperformed D-Hop since the trade.
And it makes you wonder, it makes you wonder how much was the system, how much of it was just the Texans, philosophy in general has been kind of utilizing one guy and hyper targeting one guy, and D-Hops was obviously the dude there, so he got a lot of that. He just, I'm not sitting here saying the D-Hops is bad by any means. You asked if there wasn't the 6 games, where could I put him? I think,
Keenan, Mike Evans? Lower?
He's T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, probably in that range. Okay. That's top of the third. A.J. Brown, Keenan. Yeah, you say Keenan. So, yeah, I guess.
I think Keenan is undervalued right here.
I do, too. 100% agree with that.
Keenan in the third round, for me, is disrespectful. I think Keenan and Mike Evans are the most constant wide receiver one. They're not going to be your wide receiver, they're not going to finish top 5 on the entire year, but wide receiver one dictates being a top, I think it's 18 wide receiver now.
Yeah.
They got that hands down.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I think I would, 6 games or not, I'm definitely drafting Keenan ahead of him. I think there's reason to be questionable about A.J. Brown, Michael Pittman, and T. Higgins, but I'm probably drafting Michael Pittman ahead of him too, just because I like him a lot. But that feels dirty to say, even just because of the history of Hopkins. I don't know. That's a tough question. That's a tough question.
It is tough. I'm going to try to steer clear of him, though.
Yeah.
If there's a guy on a resurgence path that I'm looking for to target in that realm, it'd be Michael Thomas.
Yeah. Now I will say this: with the 6 games, I already said I would always draft. I don't value him in the 5th at all. I'll go down the line and say would rather have Allen Robinson. Maybe
say Thielen.
Yeah, I think I'd probably rather have Thielen.
A top 5 wide receiver through week 8, and then there was a historic drop off.
We're going through 6-round wide receivers.
I know you'd take Darnell. I know you would.
I would take Darnell Mooney. I would take Cortland Sutton. I would take Amari Cooper. Gabe Davis, I'm in love with. Marquise Brown, I almost certainly would take over just because.
I said I would because you get the 6 games.
So we're getting into the 7th round before you get to guys that I'm probably going to look at the upside of Hopkins before I take some of these guys. Elijah Moore in the 8th round I would take it, but I value Elijah higher than most. So that's maybe a little bit bold. Robert Woods, I probably take over him. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. But
whole point being, though, you just went to 8th round.
Yeah, now to be fair, that is the range where it starts to become okay, who do you like? I'll go down and not really worry about ADP in the 7th, 8th round and just draft the guys that I want on my team.
Yeah.
So I can go and look at Brandon Ayuk in the 9th. If I'm in a draft with you, he's not going in the 9th. I'm just letting you know. Especially if I need a wide receiver in that 7th, 8th round. Anyway. I guess we'll move on.
If we're going to talk about Brandon Ayuk, I'm not getting burned by his ass no more, Kyle Shanahan. I'm done.
We'll stick with the Cardinals just for an extra second. Anywhere else you want to go with the Cardinals before we close
offensively, no. Defensively, I do think the loss of Chandler Jones
huge, right?
Very underrated.
I don't think I
hear a lot of the NFL world talk about that and what the Raiders have built over there on that defensive line. It's scary to think Chandler Jones was the most unsung defensive line hero in the league, and you didn't really make the right moves to replace that immediately. J.J. Watt, we got to see him last year. He is still an impact player, but he is not a every down impact player anymore.
No,
he
not
can
at
come
all.
in on a drive and give you the best damn football you've seen. He can come in on a 3rd down and jump the end and take.
He's a legends guy at this point. He's not the dude
I think he's a step above that, but he's not at the same ceiling that he was. Yeah, he's not MVP J.J. Watt.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's J.J. Watt that's going to miss a game here or there, guaranteed. And he always has a high motor, but I don't think you can expect that same product.
Underwhelming draft, in my opinion, anyway. I got Trey McBride in the 2nd, 2 DNs in the 3rd out of some small schools there. So, just again, hopefully one of those DNs hits in the 3rd for the Cardinals, and that can be your future replacement. But yeah, this year's gonna be rough. I don't think you didn't really replace a Chandler Jones, who's a big piece of that defense.
No, and going off of last year, they met the Rams in the 1st round, if I'm not mistaken. And they got destroyed, but the Rams won the Super Bowl. Damn good team who is ready to play whenever the lights are brightest. You would think that as a team that young, early into this rebuild, that they would kind of open the floodgates and maybe see a window for themselves. Yeah. I feel like they took a step back.
I mean, this is the last. The rebuild's over. This is what they're supposed to be. I mean, honestly, if you say it's a 3-year rebuild, it's been 3 years.
I don't think this team can compete for a Super Bowl then after it's all said and done.
Yeah, I agree. They're definitely not Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they're not.
They're playoff pushers, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
I'll go a step further and say if they're in the AFC, they're not going to make the playoffs.
Oh, for damn sure.
There's just too many good teams in the AFC. All right, let's move on to the 49ers. We always try to make these 30 minutes, but we make them a little long. I can't help it. All right, 49ers, super, super interesting team. I think easily the most varied range of outcomes because, they could win the Super Bowl. I would say they can. I mean,
they were once again a better quarterback away.
So if Trey Lance is that better quarterback, Trey Lance is the dude. Yeah, they're Super Bowl contenders. They're legitimate, serious Super Bowl contenders.
Is he?
I don't know. I mean, I can't know. I don't think any of us can know.
It's hard to dissect the news out of camp too because
I've seen it both ways.
Exactly. I've seen where he has made plays where they've said he makes that throw in the 2018 Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. They said that he has the arm strength to do that. They say that at times he has the accuracy. At times he is able to extend plays like Pat Mahomes level, and at times you wish you had a Jimmy G in there who would make the safe read and dump off move. So it
sounds like consistency.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But in practice, you kind of want him to go out there and if you I don't look at interceptions and all that crap as much in preseason and practice. No. That's when you're supposed to get that out. That's when you're supposed to try to thread the needle,
find out what
learn
you can't
the coverage.
do. Yeah.
Exactly. Know your limitations because out there on Sunday, that'll save you. Trying to have your head in the clouds and do otherwise. We have to see what Lance is going to do. I have no doubt, though, that he has the best system around him in the NFL to do whatever he wants.
Absolutely. Running back you want from the 49ers, it's always tough. You got to look at, Trey Sermon. Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, right? Eli Mitchell's probably the move there. Didn't they drafted a guy too though, right? I mean, they
drafted Tyron. Yeah, they're gonna draft a running back every year, guys. They drafted Trey Sermon. They traded up to draft Trey Sermon in the 3rd, and then went back and got Elijah Mitchell in the 6th. Elijah Mitchell ends up being the dude. This team, Kyle Shanahan does not care about draft value. He's gonna put in whoever he wants in, right? I mean, am I wrong?
That's why I was talking about my Brandon Nyuk crap. He benched Brandon Nyuk just so he could prove to the media and I think his own little beat writers that he can win without having that wide receiver one.
I don't think it's Eli Mitchell. I don't. For whatever reason, I think it's Tyron Davis is interesting. Trey Sermon's gotten some good buzz out of camp. I've heard a couple good things there. So it'll be.
He had a weird start last year though.
Yeah,
weird start. He didn't get started.
I think he wasn't he inactive first week or something?
There was an off the field issue at one point where I think he was missing a meeting and out past curfew a few times.
There's a weird thing there,
and that's the thing where Kyle Shanahan, Brandon Ayuk had the same little rumor. No, he does not fuck with that stuff.
I like Brandon Ayuk this year. I'm buying the dip. I am because he's dipping hard. It was
9th round, right? I mean that is a major dip.
Yeah. I will buy the dip with a Brandon Ayuk. Obviously, Deebo Samuel.
Wide receiver 1?
No, not 1. But I mean, I like. It's tough because I drafted Deebo in the 5th, 6th round in our draft last year.
Yeah.
So it's I've had Deebo at a great price. So it's tough to go back and be like, oh yeah, I'll pay a second now.
Some people out there are a little hesitant based on the new contract and workload.
Yeah.
Because he definitely had an issue with the running back carries and how he was utilized. So it's does he take a step back? The guy that I'm scared of with Trey Lance is George Kittle.
Yeah, so can we talk? Is this the year that the perception of George Kittle changes in the fantasy? Because I've had George Kittle on my team. I had him the year he broke out, and it was awesome. It was really, really fun. And then he's great when he's on the field, but he was hurt. It seemed like 2 years in a row he missed significant time with injury. And then this past year, I think he's missed time with injury every year, if I'm not mistaken. Now that I think about it.
And another thing,
George Kittle, fantasy wise, has hurt me a little bit.
They use him to block in the system. He's the best blocking tight end that we've seen since Gronk. And I know Gronk was recent, but Gronk is a Hall of Famer based off of how he can block, also as to how he can receive. I think George Kittle's skill set, he is capable of getting 1,300 yards receiving. It's just a matter of does he? He throws a chip every single time, and yes, he is constantly hurt, whether it's a knee or an ankle going on. I don't think that there's a linebacker in the league that can cover him. I just don't know how much Trey Lance is going to utilize that. We just have to see.
Wow, 92. They have this injury calculator or whatever. 92% chance of injury. He's missed.
Horrible.
Yeah, that's not good. Long list of injuries last year. I'm just kind of looking at. Obviously, he's a great player. We know that. Nobody needs to tell us that. I was just kind of curious how many games he's actually missed over the past couple of years. That's what I was looking for. But it doesn't matter. I know he's missed a handful of time.
Still like him.
Yeah, of course. He's a great player.
The reason that it sounds like we're trending down on him, is because There's people who would take George Kittle with their first pick in the second round. That's not me. That's too rich for me. It's hard to do, though. I know that this team will have somebody of great fantasy value. I can't exactly point to where.
It's hard. Well, yeah. I mean, we know probably Debo, but like beyond Debo, yeah, it is tough. And I think a lot of people would say George Kittle's a lock, and he is if he's healthy. And I think he is. I don't know. I think you made a good point. Trey Lance could hurt his value overall. I don't think he's a lock the way he used to be. It's tough. It'll be interesting to see. Anywhere else you want to go with that? Juan Jennings?
Nowhere. Give a shout out. I mean, Trent Williams makes it fun to watch, and he is just a damn beast with the way that they're able to run behind him.
Absolutely.
Looking at the front office, every 30 teams, because he was already there, so you have the 1 and 2, 30 left, should slap themselves in the face for not being able to go get that, because he completely changed what they're able to do. The first 99 overall lineman ever in Madden, by the way, too.
So. It's a little bit insulting to some great linemen in the past, but that's fine.
Shout out to you, though, Trent Williams.
Yeah, absolutely. Bosa about to get paid. We know that's coming soon. Because Debo and Bosa were the same draft, right? So. Yeah,
pretty sure.
God, what a killer draft. All right, let's move on.
John Lynch knows what he's doing.
Yeah, no, he's been doing really well. He's been drafting well.
Props to them for handling the Debo situation too.
Yeah.
Last shout out, Titans.
Very interesting to see, because nobody really knew what the issue was. It seemed like obviously career year. Why wouldn't there be
crazy to think that as quiet as the AJ Brown stuff started to turn in the rumor mill, Debo's was lit on fucking fire. I mean, it was like, I'm definitely not coming back to the 49ers. Yeah. I'm gone tomorrow. And somehow John Lynch was able to say, no, you're not.
The organization in general,
the organization stuck together, kept their guy, recognized talent, and paid their guy. I don't know. I think it speaks volumes for what other players outside of that team look at in a well-run organization. They like to stay. They grow to that.
Absolutely agree. Let's finish it up here with the reigning Super Bowl champs, LA Rams. You said who? What?
Oh, I love them.
Yeah, they're a great team. Great fantasy value. Where do you want to start with this?
Do you think Cooper Kupp can repeat? Of course, and probably not to that historic level. I think he was 50 yards behind Calvin Johnson. Shows how damn good Calvin Johnson was in that year, because this was with an extra game. But behind that, he was a Triple Crown winner in the wide receiver game. Does he repeat? Is there a little bit of a drop-off, a lot of a drop-off? Where are you at with it?
I don't. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I would say not to the same level. I'm not projecting, Triple Crown again. Seems like, I don't know. That's a tough one. I would say, based on everything we've seen, the team around him, there's no reason he shouldn't do almost as much, I would say. Because Allen Robinson replaces Robert Woods, which I think we both agree that Allen Robinson's probably a little bit more talented, but they're close. Like
Dude, I have to watch myself because
you're a huge fan of Allen Robinson.
Yeah. I love him.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, he's a great player. He's just been stuck with a bad team his entire career.
I love you.
Yeah. I mean, to go from the Jaguars to the Bears, and you think you're getting a better team, and the Bears just fall apart, and then now you're finally on a good team. There's no argument like the Rams aren't going to fall apart this year. It'll be interesting. Allen Robinson is like one of those like kind of gems that like, man, what do we say, 5th, 6th round, somewhere in that ballpark? Yeah,
give me,
absolutely. So it's
on an offense like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cooper Kupp, you're going to draft him in the first round, probably first, second round. If he's anywhere, he won't fall to the second round. He certainly shouldn't. Great player. It'll be interesting to see how good he is.
I think he'll keep it going because we looked at week 12 and on as like, okay, teams know now. They because early on people were like, well, they got to adjust to him. They got to scheme for him. They got to blah blah blah. Constantly getting doubled over and over and over, still finding the soft spots and zones, still being able to wiggle through man coverage, getting it all done. And I am kind of tired of hearing sneaky athleticism. We know you're saying that because he's white. He's just a top.
It's not sneaky anymore. You can't say it's sneaky. You can't be a Triple Crown and be sneaky. Van Jefferson having some issues. Doesn't look like probably doesn't look like he's going to start the season. We'll see how that injury goes. Any hope for a Tutu Atwell to show up as a speed guy?
They keep taking the wide receivers early.
Overdrafting wide receivers in the second. Yeah.
Very, very much
2 years
so
in a row,
overdrafting in areas where I think that they could use solid depth at linebacker. Getting a rotational interior defensive lineman to go alongside Aaron Donald and the rest of the boys. They don't do that. They always shoot their shot on wide receiver. So I'm not sure if they just want the bodies there. I know they're still in contacts with Odell Beckham too. Odell has yet to sign. I'm sure he would love to go back to a system that, not that he knows, but he was at least there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no, I think if he can go back.
The addition of Bobby Wagner is going to be fun.
You're excited about that. I think.
Jalen Ramsey, Bobby Wagner, Aaron Donald. Yes.
Yeah. No, it will be fun. I do think Bobby Wagner's probably aged out a little bit more than you know how I am. Once they hit 30, I'm ready to kick him to the curb.
I know. They're sitting there holding the shotgun.
I swear.
Go out back.
Nothing to really talk about with their draft. Defense is going to be great.
Fuck them picks. That's what he thinks about it. Fuck them picks.
Aaron Donald's still going to be good, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Okay.
Should be just as dominant as ever. He said he's willing to hang it up whenever McVay hangs it up. And
that's
the craziest part is that McVay could just keep going forever, but you kind of had some insight last year and it ended up hitting right on it that McVay kind of gets tired.
There were just too many people talking about it for me to not want to mention it. And yeah, it felt like I was crazy when I was saying it. And then there was some buzz around it.
Yeah, there's players older than him in the league.
Yeah.
And to think that he's going to hang it up from coaching is like, wait a sec, you can keep going up. Belichick's about to be 70, Yeah.
But I mean, he can parlay this career into anything on TV, and he can make $10 million a year on TV.
And looking at what Brady's offer is when he retires, I mean,
you just know and he would be great on TV too. To be fair, all right, got to talk running backs here just real quick. Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, that'll be interesting. Looks like Cam Akers will probably be the number one. Does he break 1,000 yards? You think?
I'm scared of them both.
I'm scared of them both. Okay.
I'm scared. I've seen people say that Cam Akers could be the savior of your fantasy team, being able to take a running back a little bit later and have it pan out to that type of volume. I get that thought process. I really do.
Back of the third round is a dub. Man, the running backs in the third round in general are like, why would you draft a running back early if you can get
Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, and Travis Etienne? Run that.
Yeah, those are all great value.
But James Conner ahead of him. That's why I said sus.
Yeah, James Conner. It's crazy to think I like all those names ahead of a Zeke or a David Montgomery or a James Conner. And it's just because after 3 or 4 years as a running back, you start to we've all been burned by running back.
You've been burned on that David Montgomery thing.
Yeah. David Montgomery, I fell in love with, and I just think I still think he's a talented guy. He just bad team. It just is what it is. And then Zeke is. I think we've all seen him aging.
Yeah, the feed Zeke thing's really going in the wrong direction for him.
Yeah, super
Stop
wrong
eating
direction.
Zeke.
Yeah. All right, I guess we'll close it out right there with the NFC.
Do the Rams repeat?
No. I think
an AFC confidently. I think they have the best chance of the NFC.
Yeah, I don't.
NFC's kind of shit.
I don't know. They definitely could make it back. I just don't think. Whichever team gets out of the AFC, assuming health intact, or relative health intact in February, I do think an AFC team's winning. I just think the AFC is so much stronger.
If you don't look at it conference-wise, I think the Rams and Bucks are the best out of the NFC. They come in about 5th or 6th place if you stack them up.
I agree with that. Yeah. And maybe the Rams are probably top 3 in the AFC, realistically. I don't know. It's tough to say they won't repeat when they just won the Super Bowl. They're a great team. They're going to be dangerous. Nobody wants to see them. Yeah, nobody wants to play this team. They're that type of team. A lot of fantasy value there. Tyler Higby, still love him as a tight end. I'm rambling at this point, but yeah, no, I'll say no, but cautiously. I hate that I said it so confidently earlier because I do think there's a world.
I think that they can. Yeah. I chose the Bills though the other day, and I'm going to stick by that.
Yeah.
Bills Rams. That's a damn good game though.
Dirty. Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun to watch. All right, we'll end it right there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back soon. Peace.
7.